Sweet Christmas. Luke Cage is here. I'm your friendly neighborhood Web-Warrior Fanatic, and this will be my initial thoughts and first impressions on Luke Cage. As usual, I have a live stream where we do a deep dive, onto every single card in Luke Cage's kit. If you guys are interested in that, then I'll put the link for that somewhere for you to click on. But this will just be a very short video, hopefully under 10 minutes. I'm going to try to do this under 10 minutes of just my initial thoughts and giving a summary of how Luke Cage's kit works. If you guys appreciate this consistent Marvel Champions coverage, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It helps the channel out a lot and push the videos out for a lot more people to see. But yeah, okay, so I have a Google Doc here for Luke Cage, and my initial thoughts for Luke Cage is that he looks amazing. I talked about on a live stream, but I think that he looks to be a much more well-balanced hero. But depending on how you play him, he can be really strong. So I'm predicting anywhere, it's going to be, not a hot take prediction here, anywhere from B tier to S tier. He could be an S tier level hero. He could also be a B tier level hero. I don't think he's going to be anything weaker than B tier though, and he very well likely could just be an A tier hero as well. So Luke Cage's main mechanic here is Unbreakable Skin. It's an ability that it has in Alter Ego and in hero form. Basically, Luke Cage can have any number of tough stats cards, and attacks against Luke Cage loses piercing. This sounds incredibly powerful, and I thought that he would already be an S tier hero because of an ability like this, because he does have the regular 5-card hand size in hero form and 6-card hand size in Alter Ego, in addition to having 2 Thwart. So all of that, plus the ability to have any amount of tough stats cards. So you can have like 10 tough stats cards on Luke Cage, and you cannot pierce them. The villain cannot pierce off the toughs. So basically, if you have like 10 tough stats cards, I mean, you're basically set for the whole game. You're not going to be taking damage at all. However, Luke Cage does have one downside to this, which I think balances his kit out a lot. So it's a force response here in hero form. After a tough stats card is discarded from Luke Cage, he takes 1 unpreventable damage, ignoring toughs. And this was stated in the article right here that for the unpreventable damage, there is no way to reduce that, right? So it says here, like, he has another card in his kit called the metal bracelet right here, where whenever any amount of damage will be dealt to Luke Cage, you can exhaust the bracelet to reduce the damage by 1. In the article, Peter Shoemaker did let us know that the bracelets cannot reduce the unpreventable damage from Luke's hero ability. So we're not sure how many other cards also cannot prevent the damage from this. But basically, if you have like 3 tough stats cards, if you lose a tough stats card, you will take a damage. So you drop from 10 down to 9 life. Even though you have other tough stats cards on you, it's going to ignore other tough stats cards. So I love this force response here so much. It is forced, so you have to trigger it. You're not able to like choose to not do that. Obviously, it's like what balances out his kit, and like having like 10 tough stats cards just break the game and not being able to be pierced. This force response makes it really cool. And the thing that I like the most about this is that it makes Luke Cage so thematic. If you guys have seen the Netflix show about Luke Cage, that Disney Plus show now, Luke Cage here, often he can still get hurt, and his skin, his impenetrable skin, is often a detriment because you can't like give him like medicine or like poke needles through his skin if he's like passed out, right? So we're seeing Claire, the night nurse, when Luke Cage has something like going on, she needs to like administer like drugs to him or whatever. She needs to like get a needle and like poke it in like his skin or whatever. But all the needles always break. I feel like that this type of ability encapsulates that feeling perfectly. Like, he has tough stats cards, so they prevent damage, but he is gonna take damage going through the toughs. So he still has the impenetrable skin, that tough stats card, but he can still take damage and get hurt despite having that like inside like his organs and all that stuff. I feel like that's so thematic. They completely nailed this like right on the head, because I was a little bit worried that if we get a hero just like Colossus, like having additional toughs, it would just be like a Colossus copycat character, right? But Luke Cage, with this type of effect and this type of force response, solely makes his kit different than Colossus. He's his own unique hero, and I think that they're going to feel very different from one another, having like the 5-card hand size and 2 Thwarts, and Colossus having more ways to flip down to Alter Ego, but only 1 Thwart, and how Colossus replenishes on a tough stats card each time it flips up to hero form. So yeah, I mean, we have to make the Luke Cage Colossus comparison, but I think that they are very uniquely different. And a lot of people in my chat told me that they find Luke Cage more similar to Groot than Colossus, and I think I agree with that. Groot has his growth counters, and basically as a force response when you were to damage, you remove those growth counters instead. It's a little bit similar to how Luke Cage works here, and a lot of his cards work off of having more tough stats cards. So we look at his card here, Stand With Me. It's a 2-cost event. As a hero action, it's an authority event. You give Luke Cage a tough stats card. Then you remove 1 threat from a scheme for each tough on Luke, but the max here is 10. Groot's events are capped off at 10 if you have 10 growth counters. His story event does 10 threat removal. If you have 10 growth counters, his attack event, I Am Groot, does 10 damage. Luke Cage's story event here is capped off at 5, and we did count out the card, so we know that there's 2 copies of the story event in his kit. However, if we look at this card as just a way to gain a tough, it's a great card. It's a 2-cost event where you just get a tough stats card. So just that is already, very good curve, and you can also remove 1 threat from a scheme for each tough on Luke to a max of 5. If you can do like 3 threat removal from this, it's already insanely good. If you do 5, obviously it's like bonkers good because you can stack all those toughs. But even for like 2 for 1 threat removal, it's not bad because you're getting the tough and you're being able to ping off 1 threat as well. If we look at Sweet Christmas right here, he has 2 copies of the Sweet Christmas in his deck. It's a 5-cost attack event, so super expensive, but you can reduce the cost of play this card by 1 for each tough stats card on Luke Cage. So once again, if we can get like 5 tough stats cards on Luke Cage, this is a 0-cost attack event. What does it do? Hero action, deal 5 damage to the villain and each minion engaged with you. Holy cow, that is crazy. We've usually seen a card like this that is a 3-cost, attack event and does 3 damage AoE to the villain and each minion engaged with a player. So normally it's 3 costs for 3 AoE effect. This one is 5 costs for 5 AoE effect. So I would say if you can reduce this to at least being 3 costs, it's already better than most hero cards. Like Nick Fury and Iceman have a card similar to this. If you can make this a 3-cost event, it's better than that because you're doing 5 damage to everyone instead of 3 damage. If you make this 2 costs, 2 for 5 damage on 1 enemy is already not bad, but now you get it on AoE, all the minions as well. Really good. 1 for 5, obviously that's even better, and 0 for 5, that's like Hercules-esque, because then you're doing 0 cost to do 5 damage AoE. Insane. So yeah, whenever I'm playing Luke Cage, I definitely would stack on those tough stats cards. But I like a card like this because early game, before you get a lot of toughs, cards like this and cards like this may not be the most value. So he might have a slower start than a lot of other heroes. But once you can build him out to like 10 tough stats cards, hopefully I'm going to see it's going to be a lot of fun to like put a bunch of like tough counters on my identity card. But once you can get that out, I think he's basically invulnerable, right? That's whenever he wins a game. But yeah, really cool to see this type of effect here, and surprising to see that Luke Cage actually has decent thwarting with his Thor event and having a 2 thwart stat line right here. And he's also got Jessica Jones, his identity specific ally, where she's your regular 3-cost ally, 3 hit points, 1 thwart, 2 attack, but similar to her Justice ally, she gets +1 thwart, but for each tough stats card on identity up to a max of +4. So she can go up to 5 thwart here. And she activate 3 times if you get enough tough stats cards. So like for a lot of his cards here, the cap of like the most amount of toughs that you want is going to be 5. If you get 10, obviously is even better because you can have an unlimited amount, and as you're taking damage, you lose the toughs, but you still have plenty of toughs still there to help you stock up on having enough toughs to meet the full effects of all these cards right here. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to play Luke's with a bunch of toughs. You have cards like Knuckle Sandwich where you can discard a tough from Luke to return the event to your hand. Only 1 copy of this card in his kit though. Let's look at his alter ego right here. He does have 4 recovery, and you do want to recover, a decent amount because of the force response here, where you're constantly taking unpreventable damage as you are losing your tough stats cards throughout the course of the game. As an action though, so you can do this on turn 1, you search your deck and discard pile for the Burstein process upgrade, and you add it to your hand limit once per phase. This is actually really good to get on turn 1. Normally on turn 1, we want to play like an ally so they can block first so that we don't just die to like a villain attack. Luke Cage does not have that problem because if we get the Burstein process right here, it says 2-cost upgrade, only 1 copy in the kit. We did all the card counting, but also it's a unique card anyway. So yeah, there's only 1 copy here. It would be nice if there was 2 so that he could grab an extra resource each time he flips down to alter ego, but that's okay. So for the Burstein process right here, as an alter ego action, you can only use an alter ego. You can exhaust it and give Luke Cage a tough stats card. So that's great. That's exactly what Luke Cage wants. But you can get 2 tough stats cards if he already has none. So this card right here gives you a huge burst on turn 1 to get that initial 2 tough stats when you flip up to hero form, so that even if you don't have any other cards in your hand to play, he's not going to die to a villain attack because he has a tough, and then he has 2 actually, so he can take another attack after that as well. So yeah, it's a great card to actually play on turn 1. You guys know me from my Thor playthroughs. I don't always use that card, so like Thor has Worthy to search your deck and discard power for Mjolnir as your hand. I often don't play it on turn 1 because I rather just each time I flip down, use it as a resource to grab a free card to my hand and then spend it and just have the extra burst to my economy every single time I flip down. For Luke Cage though, he can still do that, but I think that the benefits of getting this down is actually quite good, right? Because you get this on turn 1, you have 7 cards in your hand, and it's 3 effective resources to play the Birdstein process, so you can have 4 cards left over in your hand to hopefully still play something else. But even if you can't play much else with that, it's not bad to just have the 2 toughs to help you block out, initial attacks. So that's going to be really good. The biggest weakness for Luke Cage that I've seen in his kit is actually, it's surprising because he has a lot of small damage control here and Sweet Christmas with the AoE damage here. But if you get a lot of minions that only have 1 attack and they hit you, it's going to be absolutely brutal for Luke Cage, right? It's brutal if you're stacking a bunch of toughs, right? So let's say, for example, you're playing Luke Cage, you have 10 tough status cards, right? And let's say you have, 3 Ultron drone minions, you're facing Ultron from the core set, and all the drone minions have 1 attack, 1 hit point, and 1 thwart, right? So let's say it's in the minion activation phase, and a drone minion attacks Luke Cage. Well, you lose a tough instead of taking damage, right? So you discard your tough status card from the first drone's attack. Then, for response, after a tough status is discarded, he takes 1 unpreventable damage. So you take a damage, drop from 10 to 9 life. So essentially, the drone minion, although its damage was blocked out by a tough, you still take 1 damage anyways, which was the drone's 1 attack anyways. So when the drone hits you, its attack got blocked, but essentially went through too because you're taking 1 damage from its attack. So yeah, that is pretty silly there. And then when the second drone hits, you lose another tough, take another 1 damage. When the third drone hits, you lose a third tough and take another 1 damage. So 3 drones attack you, you still take the full-on 3 damage, not from the drones, but from your own force response. But then you lose 3 toughs on top of that. So that is absolutely terrible. We really don't want that to happen. We want to try to kill minions and not let them swarm out against you, especially if they're 1 attack minions. If they're 5 attack minions, that's fine, because instead of taking 5 damage, you only take 1 here and you lose a tough status card for that, which is well worth it. It's just not worth it if the minion only has 1 attack. However, more of why I'm in love with Luke Cage's kit here is that he has 2 copies of the metal bracer that we counted. This 1 cost upgrade in his kit that helps you balance that out. So if you can get this card out, that will mitigate Luke's worst weakness, essentially, right? So this card right here, it's a 1 cost upgrade, armor item. He gains retaliate 1. As a hero interrupt, when any amount of damage would be dealt to Luke Cage, you can exhaust the bracer and reduce that damage by 1. So obviously, as we noted earlier, this effect will not work for the force response, but if a drone minion attacks you with 1 attack, you can reduce the damage by 1, so the drone hits you for 0, so you can retain your tough status cards and you won't have to take damage with your force response here. So this card really helps round out Luke's kit. You do have to play them though on the table to get the effect of all of this, but you do got 2 cards, so hopefully you can draw 1 soon. And retaliate 1 is really nice with Luke Cage here as well. I'm gonna talk about a protection deck that I proxied here and built for Luke Cage with chat. I think that one looks really, really fun. So we'll go over that after we go over the rest of his cards here. Now, the last card that was previewed in the Luke Cage article is Power Man. It's a title card. It's a unique card, 1 cost upgrade, only 1 copy in his kit. Here response, after a tough status card is discarded from Luke Cage, you can exhaust this card to draw a card. So this is kind of like the worse version of Colossus Iron Will, because Iron Will does not exhaust, so each time Colossus loses a tough, you can draw a card limitlessly. Power Man, it's only once per round because you have to exhaust a card to get that card draw. Still a good card to get on the card draw, and it's only a 1 cost upgrade, so hopefully you're losing a tough, once per round, either from the villain phase or from your own player phase. So something like that, it's still a good card to have and to get you that card draw and get you more economy for Luke Cage. So yeah, that's all of his cards right here. I did the card count here on the live stream. It's a pinned comment. We have it here, right here. So yeah, right here, this is his entire card count. We know it's Jessica Jones here first, and we're missing the 2 out of 15 and 3 out of 15 card, but we know that it is the same card here because there's only 1 missing number in between Jessica Jones and Knuckle Sandwich. So chat speculated that it's going to be a defense event. I'm also, fingers crossed, hoping that it is going to be a defense event right here. I think that will make a lot of sense with how his kit works. And we also have the Knuckle Sandwich, 1 copy there, 2 copies of Stand With Me. That's going to be that Thor event. And then at least 1 copy of Sweet Christmas. I'm predicting that it's going to have at least 1 more. And then I'm predicting a support right here for the 9 out of 15 card. And then we know the Birdstein process right here. And then we know right here, 2 copies of Metal Bracer, and then Power Man right here. There are 2 upgrades here that we know it's the same upgrade because it's in between an upgrade right here and an upgrade right here. So we know it's got to be upgrade, and we know it's the same one because of the card count. We know that there's only one missing card in between Burst Time Process and the Metal Bracer. So we're not sure what that upgrade is, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it's a way for him to get more tough stats cards or a way for him to defend without exhausting. That would be really, really good to help him, round his kit. Oh, and for the art here for this defensive end right here, I'm predicting that it's going to be the art right here at the top of the article, because we've seen here for Jessica Jones, this is one of her cards, Ada's Investigations. For Daredevil, this is one of his cards, The Man Without Fear. So Luke Cage, this really cool card art right here is not in any of the cards that we've seen. So I'm predicting that this will be the card art for where are we? That missing card right here for a defense event, because it looks like it's probably going to be like an event type card, not an upgrade to like help him like either get toughs or like be a defense event for him to like block out damage, something like that, right? So I think that would be really cool. And yeah, that's my prediction right there for Luke Cage. Finally, let's go over to like a fun prediction build that I build here on Marvel CDB, just using Andrew as like a proxy. It's a Luke Cage theory craft right here. I'll put the link to this in the description so you guys can see this if you're interested in it. But basically this deck all revolves around Change of Fortune. I want to defeat enemies during the villain phase and then draw cards off that. So that's the main game plan here, because with Luke Cage's Metal Bracer, he gets 2 copies of this, so he can get Retaliate 2 just in kit. So Retaliate 2 there. Dauntless is a proxy for that Ronin, so that's gonna give us another Retaliate. So Retaliate 3 right there is pretty good. And then we have the cut both ways. When we play this event, you get Retaliate 1 until the end of phase, and it counts as us defending. So we're defending there. We don't have to exhaust the defend when we play a defense event like this. Then with the electrostatic armor, we can also do 1 damage to attacking character. So ideally, if we can play cut both ways on a main attack, we're blocking all the damage with our tough stats card, but then we're hitting back for 5 with the Retaliate 3 that we always have, Retaliate 1 from the cut both ways, and the Retaliate or the 1 more damage from electrostatic armor for 5 damage on minions, hopefully to kill them and proc Change of Fortune to draw 2 cards and boost up our economy. I think that is going to be a really cool build. We don't have much odds in the deck here, just Psylocke here, replaced with Jessica Jones, because we're not playing Angel, we're playing Luke Cage, which will have the Jessica Jones ally. We also have Professor X here to give us that Confuse and 3 Thwart if we need it. But Luke Cage thwarting is not going to be that bad on his own, because he has a Thwart set of 2. And he's also got 2 copies of his Thor event Staying With Me, which will hopefully be removing at least 3 threat. Because if we can use this on turn 1, the Burst Time Process will already have the 2 tough salad cards, and this will give us more toughs on top of that. And then we also have 3 copies of What's in Kill Me, which is a proxy for the Army of 1, also in Echo's pre-con deck. So with that 1 cost ready, hopefully we can ready up even more and Thor for 2 with our basic activation here. So that's the main game plan that I want to play. I really want to play a protection deck here with Luke Cage. We have really good staples for him. I think Hidden Base is all include whenever you change forms. You can get a tough stats card, really good for him. Ready for Fight is really good to allow him to flip down and trigger that Burst Time Process to get even more toughs. And you can flip out to hero form, take the villain attack with your tough stats card. Really good. So yeah, that is the deck build that we got right here, guys. And yeah, I'll put that in the description of this video. But yeah, initial impressions for Luke Cage. Once again, I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but this wave looks crazy. Definitely looks like the best wave in Marvel Champions history. I'm very excited for him. And I like that his kit has nuance and more balance than Jessica Jones. The Jessica Jones hero kit, I still think it looks insanely powerful. I think that Daredevil looks like S tier as well, like potentially the strongest hero in the game. But Luke Cage, he looks more balanced. I think that he's going to be a fun hero who can handle the higher difficulties, but also, depending on how you pilot him, can be very weak or very strong. I think that he's a hero that some people will be like, oh, he's S tier. Some people will be like, oh, no, he's weak. He's B tier, So I think that he's going to have a lot more nuance, and I think it's very unique. I know that in the designer panel, the designer said that they wanted Luke Cage's kit to be simple. I feel like, some of the cards are simple, but I feel his kit is also a little bit nuanced and complex as well, which I'm all for. I love these type of like simple abilities, like simple effects, but I think together and the combos you can do can be pretty nuanced, and it can get pretty complex. So I think that he's a lot of fun. Yeah, how fun do I think he's going to be? I mean, he's my second most anticipated hero for this wave so far. Daredevil number 1, of course, probably just because I'm biased for Daredevil, but I think I like Luke Cage right now more than Jessica Jones and more than Echo, just because I'm vibing with how his tough mechanic works. And yeah, he looks really cool, guys. that is my first impression, guys. If you want to see me talk about all the leadership cards that were previewed from the article, I go over that in the live stream, and all the in-depth stuff for Luke Cage. That's going to be in the like 2-hour live stream as well if you are interested in that. But I know some people don't want to watch 2-hour live streams, so I want to make this short, condensed video for you guys. So yeah, let me know, guys, down in the comments. What are your impressions of Luke Cage? Are you excited for this hero, and what are you thinking about this wave so far? I am insanely excited. It looks really cool. So yeah, I hope you guys all liked the video. I'll see you guys all in the next one.